welcome to another episode of the IBC Guys. I'm Dave. Joining me today is Mr. Michael Stevens. Looking sharp as always. I was teasing him. I have a button-down shirt. So if you're listening, rarely do I wear a button-down shirt. I got one on today, and I called it my Mike Stevens uniform. So I'm just trying to, it's like the ad, Mike. Be like Mike. I'm taking Gatorade's advice, being like Mike, trying to look sharp like you do.
The younger generation today doesn't even know what that is, unfortunately.
Does that really date me? I mean, I don't see myself as that old, but maybe it does.
No, I mean, you would understand the be like Mike. Well, I'll give you an example. Do you know what? Hey, Mikey, he likes it. You know what that is?
Yeah, it's a cereal. Is it
Yeah.
Life cereal?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that goes way back. I'm surprised you even knew that. You're young.
man. I know all the random pop culture facts, Mike. What can I say? So, but another thing I was gonna add, we were talking beforehand, setting this up. I need the listeners and the viewers' help, Mike. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. I need their help in convincing you to get in the shoe game with me. So I
Oh,
need them to email you their favorite shoes. So I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast, but I've enjoyed shoes my whole life. I have several, probably 50, 60 pairs in boxes and in saran wrap down in the basement. They're worth a small fortune at this point. I started collecting when I was in high school. But for you listening, I need to get Mike involved. I find these great shoes and I send them to Mike. Say, hey, let me buy these as a thank you or something. Who knows what they're for? I find a reason to try and buy you some shoes. And you just got done very kindly, but very firmly saying, Dave, I'm never ever gonna wear a pair of shoes that you buy me. So I need the viewers and the listeners' help. So if you are out there and you enjoy shoes, Mike's email. If you can't see his face right now, he's very annoyed. Mike's email is mike@familybakingsolutions.com. You don't have to email about shoes, but if you want to talk to him about IBC, that's my terrible segue into getting all the podcast information. My email is dave@familybakingsolutions.com. We would love to talk to you about IBC. I would love to talk to you about shoes. So if you like shoes, shoot me an email or give me a call that way. But we do produce is a strong word. We do sit down in our chairs and talk into a microphone on this podcast for three reasons. One is to get the information about IBC out there. We want people to be knowledgeable, to understand what it is, what it does, and then make a decision that's best for their family, whether that's yay or nay. Two is to give practical examples, implementable examples. We're going to talk a little bit more about the economic value add, and Mike's going to talk through some more examples today. So my hope is that they can be beneficial to not only understanding, but maybe some things that you're doing in your business or your household, how you're running money through those things. And lastly, is the goal is to get it out to everybody we can. So if you would share, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. I don't think I ever say that one. Um, leave us a comment. I went through and read some the other day for the podcast. There were some nice comments on there. So that was nice to hear from people that I didn't know their names. So that's kind of cool that it's getting around. But if you would do that, it just helps spread the word is the thinking. So today, economic value add part two. So Mike, if you could, this is my teacher background coming in. If you could reiterate again, maybe a short definition of what economic value add or EVA is. And then we used a synonymous acronym last time, the time value added, if I'm correct, or I forget which one it was. But if you maybe talk through those two things, remind us what the definition is, and then take us through the two newer examples that you were thinking for this part two in this call it mini series that we're doing here.
yeah. So EVA, economic value added, and I kind of equate it to like the time value of money. And both of those may be foreign to people. So I go back, and I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. It's been a couple of weeks since we did the first one, so I don't even remember half of what we discussed.
Well,
And
the topic hasn't
I
changed.
never watch or listen to these things, so I have no idea. Maybe if you're listening to EVA Part Two, you're like, that knucklehead said the same thing he did in Part One. Like, I apologize. I may have forgotten what I had said in Part One, but the simple explanation, I don't know if I would say definition, but EVA is all capital, all money has the potential to earn money. For example, if you have whatever $1,000, you have the opportunity, let's say, to put that in the bank into a CD and can earn interest on that. So your money, all money, has the potential to earn money. So when Nelson Nash says in his book, you finance everything you buy, everything, whether it's groceries or I mean whatever, everything. What he means by you finance everything you buy is you are either using someone else's money and paying them interest, or you're using your money and giving up the potential to make interest. So I think last time we talked about, like you and I have $1,000 and I'm going to put it into an investment to make 4%. And you are going to take your $1,000 and go out and buy, say, the new iPhone. When I don't know if they're $1,000, but let's just say they are. Well, 1 year from now, I have $1,040 because my $1,000 made 4% in the year, and you still have your iPhone that works great. So, the conversation is, well, how much did that iPhone actually cost you? Yeah. Well, if you look at it from an EVA standpoint or the time value of money, that really cost you $1,040 because had you not bought one like I did, that 1,000 could have grown into 1,040. So anyway, it's the time value of money. It's the ability of all money, all capital to earn money. So, I think this is important to discuss because what I get a lot of times, what we get a lot of times when we're discussing IBC with people is, I'm going to go back to the $50,000 truck example. If you finance it through a financial institution, it's going to cost you, let's use 4% over 60 months, 5 years. You amortize that out, and that 50,000 is going to cost you 55,250. So it's going to cost you $5,250 interest to use the bank's money. A better solution to that is option B, let's say, and that's just to save up the money. You have to kind of forego the immediate gratification of getting that truck tomorrow because now you have to save up the money. But now you can go out and you can buy that truck and you don't pay the bank an extra $5,000. The truck actually cost you 50 grand. However, kind of like the cell phone example we just discussed, time value of money, the truck really didn't cost you 50 grand, right? You could say, well, it cost me 55 grand because again, you have 50 grand and you buy a truck, and I have 50 grand and I invested at 4%. Well, 5 years down the road, you have your truck. Let's just say it doesn't depreciate, and your truck, you still have your $50,000 truck. Well, now you compound my 50 grand at 4% a year, and it's 60,833. So now, time value of money, how much did your truck cost you? And the argument would be, well, could be $60,000. Like had I not bought the truck, you would have 60. So that's kind of the time value of money and how this, going back to what we discussed in part one, there's a lot of companies that really didn't understand EVA or the time value of money when they're using their own capital or shareholders' capital. So I think what we discussed last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, last episode, was that if you, let's say you go out and let's say you don't have the capital and you go out and you buy a truck and you amortize that over 5 years at 4%, that $50,000 truck is going to cost you $55,250. Okay. So let's say our business model is we're buying trucks and we're selling trucks. We're wholesaling and then retailing or whatever. Okay. And well, it's a good business model. So we're buying trucks and we don't have the money, so we're using the bank's money. So it's going to cost us $55,000. And I think last time we talked about selling it at 60. So we make $5,000 every time we did that. We do that every 5 years. you know. So then if you say, well, we're not going to use the bank's money, we're going to use our own money. Or in the case of Coca-Cola or CSX or whoever it might be, these businesses that really didn't understand EVA, they're using stockholder equity or their own capital, and they're saying, well, that we don't have to pay the bank that interest. That $50,000 is right here. And then we go out and we sell that truck, and it's like, yeah, we made 10 grand. We bought the truck for 50 cash, and now we went out and sold it for 60. We made 10 grand. Awesome business model. So here's the flaw in that. And what I wanted to come back and do kind of a part 2 follow-up to that is, let's assume we buy that truck, and instead of selling it for $60,000, let's say we sell it for $55,000. Okay. So now 2 parts, we have cash or we use the bank's money. So let's say we use the bank's money. Again, that $50,000 truck is going to cost us $55,250. Now we're selling that truck for $55,000. So really we're losing $250. Okay, we're not going to do that deal. That's a terrible business model. Like, we're losing money. We can't buy trucks for $55,250 and sell them for $55,000. We're losing money, right? Everybody would agree with that. However, Dave, we have $50,000 cash. We can go buy a truck for $50,000 and sell it for $55,000. We're making $5,000 a truck. Like, this is awesome. And this is where Coca-Cola and CSX and these guys got into trouble. And not necessarily trouble that they're losing money, but they didn't add that economic value added, or they didn't add the opportunity potential of that capital when they're making these big business decisions on capital expenditures, et cetera. So let's look at the IBC business model and show you and show everyone, hopefully, why that works. Because, so again, we're going to buy.
Well, if I can, the teachers got to it's getting out of me, Mike. Before you jump into the third option, which is IBC, if I can, let's quickly summarize the first 2. So the first one is using somebody else's money. Oftentimes it's the bank. The problem with that is you are paying the bank money to use their money. That's the problem. The second option is the economic value add, the whole purpose of this last part 1 and then this part 2. It's the idea of understanding what you are losing out on by using your money in a specific scenario. Is that another way to say that? Would you agree with that statement? Yeah. So if you are going to use this money in a certain capacity, what am I missing out on? What's the potential earning I'm missing out on? So rather than just having a smaller, a more limited perspective of, if I spend, to use your example, 50,000 on a truck and sell it for 55, I make 5 grand. Well, if you had taken that 50,000 over the course of the year at 4%, you make more money. And you've lost out then on the potential earnings in that capacity. Now, those numbers change. So let's say you can buy the truck for 40,000 and sell it for 55. Now you're having a different discussion, and I think you would agree with that. But the idea of the economic value add is, what am I missing out on by making the choice that's in front of me here? Is that another way to say that? Would you agree with all that?
Exactly. You're missing out on the opportunity of your money to make money.
Yeah.
Right. There's only 2. We talked about this last time in part 1. There's only 2 ways to make money. Is you make
Trade
money,
time.
You work. Yep. Trade time.
time.
You're working for money to make money, or your money's making money.
Yeah.
That's the only two ways to generate money. So when you have money, when you have cash, and you just go pay cash for something, a truck, groceries, whatever, you are there's only one pool of money. So you're taking that money that has the potential to make money, and you just gave it to someone else. So the earning potential of that cash is gone forever. Whereas with IBC, you are accumulating your own cash, your own capital. So you're taking control of the banking function, and then you're putting it in a guaranteed vehicle, hence a specifically designed whole life insurance policy that has a guaranteed internal rate of return, dividends, tax advantages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's guaranteed that is going to go, guaranteed it's going to grow year after year and compound. And again, you go back to page 45 in Nelson's book, and it's like, well, okay, I can do that. And I can put it in a CD and it's going to grow, basically guaranteed. And then I take that, but then you're interrupting the compounding. So if you have questions on that, you can go back to page 45 in Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, and refresh yourself on that concept. But the idea, and to kind of to take this a step further, back on selling these trucks for $55,000, if we take our money and put it into an IBC policy, and in 5 years, again at 4%, do the math, 50,000 times 1.04, year one, year two, by year 5, you have 60,833. So your 50 grand time value of money in 5 years could be worth $60,833. Now I'm going to sell that truck after 5 years for $55,000. Now that business model works, right? You're making money. You're making money on that vehicle, because what you do is when you have your money sit there and it earns uninterrupted over 5 years, that's going to grow to 60 grand. You still need to go out and buy that truck. So you use the insurance company's money at 4%, and that truck cost you 55,000. So that's why I wanted to use selling at 50. So back when we said, well, if we use the bank's money, amortize it over 5 years, and it's 55,250, we can't sell that truck for 55,000. We're going to lose money. However, inside of this IBC plan, you can, because you put your money in there and it grows to 60. You borrow from the insurance company, and that 50 grand is going to cost you 55,250. You buy the truck, and then you sell the truck for 55,000. You don't lose 250. You're actually making almost 5 grand, because the time value of money, your money, you invested. I shouldn't say investing, but you put in a vehicle and it grew to 60,000. You're going to net 5 grand. Okay, so that's the advantage.
Well, yeah, it's really a combination of the two. So maybe that's kind of where I would want to start. But if I can, Mike, and if you can help me do this, go through maybe the subsequent steps in this and talk through each one. So here's what I mean by that. You and I are business partners. We need a truck for running cows. For you listening, that's a new term that Mike just taught me this week, and I learned most of the ins and outs of running cows. It's maybe more than I wanted to know. I'm a city boy. I'm not a farmer. But we need a truck for running cows for whatever reason. So you and I are going to partner. So if we took our cash and started saving up, if we just saved it, like in other words, we're not going to spend it, we're going to save up to 50,000, we are losing out on the potential of that money making money over time. So if we put in 10 grand the first year, that 10 grand is not doing anything. It's just sitting there in savings. To your point, if we put it in IBC, it is then the economic value added, or the time value of money, is being utilized because we are making an interest rate while we are saving at the same time. So we're putting it in, it's making us money. To Mike's point, it's a contractual guaranteed return. We put in the next 10. So over the 5 years, we have our 50, but all along that while, across those 5 years, our money has been making money rather than just putting it in a savings account, earning 0.25% or having it under the bed or whatever. The time value of money is being utilized and accessed as we save up to buy our truck. Correct in that. So that's the kind of the first step. Would you agree with that, Mike? We got to fund our policy.
Okay. Correct.
So the second thing is we are then going to take and utilize the insurance company's money. So just like we would from a bank, potentially same process. Hey, we're gonna utilize the money. I'm gonna take and go buy the truck, but it's gonna cost me 55,250. To your point, though, because we have utilized the time value of money, our 50,000, it sits at 60,833. We borrow the money to go buy our truck. Yes, we did quote unquote finance it. We have to pay an interest rate. But to Mike's point, we have made, because of the economic value added, we have made $5,000 more than it costs us to borrow the money and go buy the truck. And then we can take the truck and we can go do what we want. We can sell it, whatever. But our money stays on the ledger. I think that maybe is another component we want to add in here, Mike. Even though we borrowed the cash value and went and used it to buy the truck, that still sits at 60,833 and is going to continue to compound and grow and get an internal rate of return on the ledger that didn't go down. Even though we went and used the money we borrowed against the cash value, we didn't borrow the money itself, that's still sitting there. We borrowed against the cash value and bought our truck and ran our cows like champion farmers that we are, and still had that money growing in there and made 5,000. So my goal in just kind of commandeering the conversation, and I apologize for doing that, but to step by step to try and break it down, the difference in what the mentality is. The mentality is understanding what potential earnings exist for this capital, utilizing that time value of money, but at the same time, then going and leveraging the cash value while having that money make money, make money, make money. Is my saying. People don't understand that at first, but as you get this snowball rolling, the statement "have your money, make money, make money, make money" continues to resonate a little bit more. So, any thoughts? Any corrections? Anything to add to all that?
No, I think you did a great job of maybe simplifying the explanation, and maybe I can take a shot at simplifying it even more. So we talk
Please
about
do.
this, over 5 years, and we're talking about Coca-Cola and CSX Railroad and capital expenditures and lots of money over lots of time, several years, etc. Let's look at it just for one year, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say let's say uh, I have a truck and you have a truck, and my truck again, which let's say the 50,000 grows to 60,000 over 5 years. So here's my $50,000 of capital or truck or whatever, and I have it here at 60,000 after 5 years, okay? Because that's what it's going to compound to. You have a truck and it's 55,000 because that's what it cost you. Because let's say you bought it from the bank. Okay, so now again, well, this is over 5 years, but let's just say this is today. I have a truck, it's the $60,000 because that's what mine's worth. It's making me money. And you have a truck and it's 55,000. So let's say your truck is making you $5,000 a year and my truck is making me $10,000 a year. Okay, let's look at it like that.
Okay.
And now I have a debt where I have to pay that I have to give this guy a truck. I owe him a truck for whatever. Okay. Bought some cattle. Well, I know if I take my truck, it's making me $10,000, but you say, Mike, I'll sell you my truck for 55 grand because that's what your truck is at. So the question is, I owe this guy a truck. Am I going to give him my truck, which is $60,000, or I'm going to buy yours for 55,000 and give him that truck? Like, it just makes sense. Same truck, money's money. Why would I not take the $55,000 option versus killing my $60,000 option? Okay, which is my money sitting in my policy. It goes back to several episodes ago. We did the goose that lays the golden egg. And if you have a goose that's laying you 10 golden eggs and someone else has a goose, i.e. the life insurance company or a bank or the financial institution has a goose that's laying 5 golden eggs instead of 10 golden eggs, and if you want to utilize that goose, they're going to charge you 5. However, if you utilize your goose, you're giving up 10. Okay, the time value of money. I don't want to stop that. So I'm going to use the goose that's laying 5 golden eggs. Because yes, it's going to cost me 5 golden eggs, but yet my goose is laying 10. I'm going to net 5. I'm going to profit because my money is working for me and I'm using someone else's money. Okay, even if it's at the same interest rate. So again, that we're throwing out there. If you don't understand the episode of, go back and listen to ours on the goose that laid the golden egg. So now to take that, here's the beauty of IBC. Again, controlling the banking function, you have the money that you're controlling. So we've done 1 year or one transaction over 5 years. So let's do 4 transactions over 20 years. Okay. Let's just recap. Okay. I am going to put $50,000 of capital into my IBC policy, and it's never coming out. I'm never touching that money. I can borrow from the insurance company and utilize that as collateral on a no questions asked loan, but my money is staying in there uninterrupted. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've already gone through. Let's use the same interest rate, 4%. At 4%, that 50K grows to 60,833 over 5 years. Well, I'm never taking it out. So now the next 5 years, so 10 years down the road, it grows to 74,000. Okay. Instead of $10,000 growth, now it grew an additional 14,000. Okay. Correct?
Yeah.
So 50,000 now is 24,000. It grew by 10 the first year. It grows by 14 the second, or the big year, the 5 years. Okay. By the second truck.
The increment of 5 years.
After 10 years, it grows to 74. I'm sorry. I'm probably confusing people like crazy.
Well, just 5-year intervals.
The third truck, or 15 years, it grows to 90. And then after 20 years, it grows to 109. Okay, so again, to recap, you put $50,000 in, guaranteed internal rate of return at 4%, uninterrupted compounding. At 5 years, you have 60,000. 10 years, it's 74. 15 years, it's 90. 20 years is 109. So 109. So your 50,000 grew to 109,000. Okay, that money stays there. We're not going to touch it. Now, let's go back to our business model. We're buying trucks and we're selling them for 55,000. Well, the insurance company says, yes, we'll give you a loan. Use your capital as collateral. We'll give you a loan, same interest rate, 4%. Over 5 years, you amortize that out, and it costs us $55,250. We're selling the truck for $55,000. Okay, so we buy the truck for $55,250, financed it, and we sold it for $55,000. You would think, well, we lost $250, but don't forget, our 50 grew to 60, so we actually make $5,000. Now, the second truck, let's do it again. Over the next 5 years, we buy another truck for $55,250, sell it for $55,000. You'd say, well, we lost $250,000, but we made $14,000 because our 60 grew to 74. Mm-hmm. The third truck, again, financed it at $55,000 through the bank, through the financial institution, through the insurance company in this case, but our 74 grows to 90. And then the fourth truck, our 90 grows to 109. So we are controlling our capital, our cash, and it's growing, compounding, uninterrupted. Mm-hmm. And we're using someone else's money because their money is cheaper than our money. Our money is earning way more than what they're charging us. So we're going to use their money. They're fine with their 4% on a depreciating principle. So that's why it works out that when you amortize that, it goes to $55,250. So again, I don't want to confuse people even more, hopefully not at all, but it's controlling that banking function. You are controlling your capital, and that is earning money for you for the rest of your life. That money doesn't come out of there.
Yeah.
Now people say, well, why wouldn't I just pay cash? I don't want to pay interest to the insurance company or the interest to the bank. Why don't I just pay cash? When you take cash and you pay that guy $50,000 for a truck, that banking function, that control just left your family forever. You'll never get that $50,000 back. It had the potential to make you money for the rest of your life, but you just transfer that away. You'll never own that $50,000 again. Yeah, you got to go out and work for it, or your money's got to go out and work for it for you, but it's gone forever. So the idea is, again, saving up that capital, having it work for you for the rest of your life, and you're using someone else's money. So again, going back to how we started this out, where a question I get is people, okay, I save up the $50,000. That's awesome. And then I go out and buy a truck. Wait a minute. Now you're saying I gotta pay the insurance company back? I just saved that money up. Now I gotta pay it back. That's my money. I mean, that's their thought process is,
Yeah.
I saved up the money, and now you're saying now I gotta put it back. But in reality, is you're saving up that money and you're putting it to work for you the rest of your life in that very specially designed vehicle, hence the IBC life insurance policy. And then you're going to go out and you're going to use someone else's money, because you're not going to interrupt that compounding. You're not going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg that you've taken so long to build and save for, because that's going to benefit your family the rest of your life. So I think what it all comes down to, again, is controlling the banking function, and people just don't understand the opportunity that their cash, the ability it has to make them money for the rest of their life, and the cost of that, the opportunity cost that they're losing when they pay cash for things. Again, if you think, well, man, this is kind of a very foreign, I understand it's a foreign concept. I mean, it took Coca-Cola is a huge company. Again, you can go back to look in Fortune magazine. There's a huge article on there where they're basically saying, like, wow, we're multi-million billion dollar. I don't know how big they are. They're huge. I mean, everyone's heard of Coca-Cola. They didn't understand this until, back in the 90s, where they finally realized, like, wow, we're really missing the boat here. So, don't beat yourself up over, like, I didn't really understand this concept. On the you and me level, and at the family business level, you're running your finances through your family. It's like a little business. Almost no one understands this. They're just like, well, it's cash. I pay every month. I pay cash. I pay cash for my mortgage. I pay taxes. I pay groceries. I pay cell phone. I pay utilities. I pay the cost of living, right? And they don't understand the fact that that money is leaving their family forever, where you have the ability to store that money up, create a warehouse of wealth, Nelson's second book, by the way, and use someone else's money.
Yeah.
Use someone else's truck that costs less than what yours does. So, well, I wanted to do a part 2 to kind of maybe simplify and clarify that. I wonder if this isn't more confusing than the first one.
I think it's a hard concept. So I wrote something down, and I had to smile too, Mike. We always say this is going to be a short one, and we have 6 minutes left. So I'm going to try and be as succinct as I can. So I was writing while you were talking, but I love the statement. You, in the IBC, you're having your money work for you while you're using someone else's money to go take care of what you need to. So it's something, again, I'm formally trained in education, have too many degrees that I'd like to admit. Transitioning into owning a business is something I had to learn how to do in leveraging someone else's money. But that's exactly what's happening while your money stays in the ledger. So I'm going to try and say what you were saying earlier, to use your example. You're saving up that 10,000 each year. You said the first year comes to 60,833, correct? The next year,
Correct.
the next set of 5 years, Mike, as you save that $50,000, you're talking about that specific set of 5 years growing to 74,000. Agreed?
Correct.
So that is, for the listener, that is not a sum total. Your 60,833 is separate from the 74,000 that your 50,000 would earn that second set of 5 years. So that second set of 5 years, your money grows by $24,000 because it's building on the platform that's already been laid in the first set of 5 years. So to Mike's point, you get to that fourth truck. If you put in $50,000, that fourth set of 5 years, when you do that, every dollar you put in really is more than $2 coming out. You earn 104,000 if I remember my numbers correctly. So that is
Or not.
that is separate than all the other preceding sets of 5 years. So if you think about that, Mike makes the statement often, if you every dollar you run through this over the course of 20 years comes back to you. If you were to take the money that you've made over those sets of 5 years, first set of 5 years, second set of 5 years, third set of 5 years, fourth set of 5 years, it's going to come close, if not exceed, every penny that you've put into buying your trucks. So you will not only have had four trucks, but you will have the exact same amount of money, and exact is relative. It's not down to the penny, but around the exact same amount of money that you've put into those trucks because your policy has money that's working for you and you've leveraged someone else's money to go take care of your business. So I wanted to try and say the same thing again, Mike, a different way. So we got just over 3 minutes left. Do you want to add to that? That'll be our last thing. Anything else for the good of the cause? And I'll
Yeah,
sum
real
up.
quick, we talked about, your money working for you, or you working for money, or your money working for money. Let's take the truck thing out of it, and let's say we have a hired man, and my hired man is doing work, making widgets, whatever it is, but he's making me $1,000 a day. And you have a hired man that's the exact same, they're twins, okay? They both do the same amount of work, and your guy is making you $500 a day. Mine's making me $1,000 a day. And let's say my neighbor, let's say he helps me run cattle, and he says, for that, I need a hired man for a day to bale hay. I don't care, just, a good hired man. And our guys are identical. And you said, Mike, you can use my guy, but I'm going to charge you $500 because that's what he's making me a day. You take him, I'm going to lose that money. So you can use my guy. I'll send him over there, but it's going to cost you $500. If I send my guy, it's going to cost me $1,000. Identical guys. I think everyone would say, well, why don't I just use the $500 guy? Because my guy's making me $1,000. That's maybe hopefully a simple example of what IBC is your money is making you more than someone else's money, other people's money. Utilize their money and let your money work for you.
I think that sums it up perfectly. Your money is making more for you in the IBC policy than someone else's money is costing you. So I would trade, if I'm going to make $2, I would give $1. I'm still up $1 just to make it as simple as I can. If you do that over the course of time for a long time and continue to have that money, that dollar you make, you're going to be in the black forever. And I think that's the point. So we do need to wrap up. Mike, this is a cool higher level, let's call it a master class topic for IBC. So if you have questions about it or would like to talk more, that's great. If you are, hey Dave, what's CBI? We'll rearrange the letters for you. Say it's IBC and we'll talk from the beginning. I had an opportunity to chat with somebody brand new to it. It was a lot of fun. The deer in the headlights look of how are you promising me these things? I'm not promising it. The contract says this is the way it's going to be. I'm just the facilitator to help you get there. So if we can do that for you, my email is dave@familybankingsolutions.com. Mike's is mike@familybankingsolutions.com. 507-205-2284. All of our socials are in the show notes. I don't know. We just want to help. That's the bottom line. If you give us that opportunity, we'd like to show you that that's the case. So, Mike, it's always great talking with you. Appreciate you making the time to educate us on EVA. And then we'll catch everybody else on the next episode.